Well, hello and assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Amir Ilyas bin Amri. My matrix number is 2022-900-961 and I'm from class JBA 2512D. In this video, I am going to present Chapter 6, Mathematics of Finance, and Chapter 7, Working Capital Management. These chapters are based on our syllabus for the subject FIN 430, Introduction to Corporate Finance. Without further ado, let's start with Chapter 6, Time Value of Money. First and foremost, what is time value of money? Time value of money is a concept concerning the value of the money at different points of time. As such, a ringgit 1 year from now is not equal to the value of a ringgit to be received today, because a ringgit received today can be invested and it will grow with time. For example, if 100 ringgit is deposited into a saving account paying 10% of interest, it will grow up to 110 ringgit a year from now. It is important to know there are two types of time value of money, which are future value and present value. Future value deals with the accumulation of today's funds or money that will be increased in the future to a common point of time. It is also known as later money and compounded value. Compounded value means that the return received this year will be retained in the saving, and the return for the next year will be based on the principal plus return accumulated this year. The formula is FV, future value, equal to PV, present value, in bracket 1 plus R, rate of return, times N, number of periods. Meanwhile, for present value, it is the process of determining the current or today's value of expected cash flows to be received in the future. It is also known as discount value. Discount means cheaper. Thus, the present value should be smaller than future value. It is useful in financial decision-making model because it provides a mean of measuring the value of future cash flows in terms of present or immediate value. The formula for present value is PV equal to FV divided by, in bracket, 1 plus R times N. Moving on to the next point, annuity. What is annuity? An annuity represents a series of equal payments or receipts occurring over a specified number of equidistant periods. The annuity cash flows are quite common in financial transactions such as payments for mortgage, hire purchase, leasing, insurance, and loans. There are two types of annuity, which are ordinary annuity and annuity due. Ordinary annuity, where the cash flows occur at the end of the period. For example, at the end of the year on 31st December or at the end of each month. Meanwhile, for annuity due, where the cash flows occur at the beginning of the period. For example, on the 1st January of the year or the first day of each month. As you can see in the yellow boxes, these are the formulas for annuity due and ordinary annuity. Lastly, amortization. The amortization of the loan involves the procedure of paying off a loan by making periodic equal payments at regular intervals. These payments include both principal and interest, and are paid until the entire principal and interest due are paid in full. The amortization schedule is important as it provides information on yearly interest that represent expenses in the income statement and the ending balance of the firm's debt as stated in the balance sheet. That's the end of chapter 6, and now we move on to chapter 7, working capital management. Working capital management is a business strategy designed to ensure that the company operates efficiently by monitoring and using its current assets and liabilities to their most effective use. The efficiency of working capital management can be quantified using ratio analysis. It is a part of the firm's capital which is required for financing short-term or current assets, and the funds thus invest in current assets and will be converting into cash. It involves day-to-day decisions regarding investment in current assets and how the assets are to be financed. The objectives of managing working capital is to achieve risk-return trade-offs that maximize the value of the firm. There are 3 types of current investment policies, which are relaxed, restrict, and moderate. Relaxed is a low-risk policy. The liquidity is high and the return on investment is low. It is also low in productivity of current assets relative to fixed assets. For restrict, it is high-risk policy. The liquidity is low and the return from investment is high. The productivity of current assets relative to fixed assets is also high. Lastly, for moderate, it is a middle policy between relaxed and restrict policies. It is moderate in risk and return, and it maintains liquidity. Moving on to the working capital policies. There are 3 approaches, which are hedging, aggressive, and conservative. For hedging approach, it matches the maturity of assets and liability that firm use temporary financing to finance temporary current assets and permanent financing to finance permanent assets. Firm finances fixed and permanent current assets with long-term debt. Fluctuation of current assets are financed with short-term debt, and it leads to moderate risk and return. For aggressive approach, it uses short-term or temporary financing to support a relative large portion of current assets. All fixed assets are financed with long-term financing, and only a portion of permanent current assets would be financed long-term. The remaining permanent and fluctuation current assets would be financed with short-term borrowing. It leads to high risk and high return, and also sacrifices safety for profit. Lastly, the conservative approach. The firm uses long-term finance for the assets. The use of short-term financing only for the very peak requirements. The firm supports fixed, permanent current assets and average temporary current assets with long-term financing. It is also low risk and low return. And for the last part, there are several factors that contribute to the level of liquidity. Firstly, the profitability of the firm. Secondly, the stability of cash flows, followed by the liquidity of the firm's assets. Next, the management's attitude towards risk, and lastly, the expected future interest rates. That's all for today's video. I hope you enjoy my presentation and understand all of it, and thank you for watching. See you again.